Hey, Joe Connolly here with Neil A. Caruso with more business news and insights for you, brought to you by Dime Community Bank. They're good people to talk to about small business loans. I've known them for a long time. Today, we'll introduce you to somebody you hear on the news frequently, every time. He puts out new real estate market data at least once a month. Appraiser and Columbia University real estate professor, Jonathan Miller. You hear him all the time. Jonathan, what are the trends that you see happening in the commercial business real estate markets?
Well, I think first of all, thank you for having me. I think the biggest take right now is there's a polarization of commercial real estate where you have sort of the best and all the rest, meaning commercial divides its world into Class A, B, and C, and Class A, top of Class A, probably won't be as impacted from the work from home movement that resulted from the pandemic. But B and C office space is under siege right now. It's really challenged by work from home that many people prefer to work at home, and they've been doing it for 3+ years now, and they're used to it. And it kind of works.
Do you see businesses relocating to suburbs or to new boroughs? What do you see in there?
I have seen some of that. I think more of what's happening is that people are downsizing space in central business districts because the frequency of their employees coming into the office is much lower. To sort of generalize, maybe pre-pandemic, the standard was 4.5 days a week. Now it's probably 3 days a week. And so there's a lower requirement of square footage because people are working, and not just working in the suburbs. I think that's the misnomer of work from home is there are just as many people working in the city, say the Upper East Side, as maybe Westchester. It's just the fact of not going into the office.
That's unbelievable that you point that out. That's true. So I wonder if new businesses, I've read that businesses are moving to more residential areas, probably mainly retail, hospitality, restaurants, that type of thing. Do you see any of that?
I think people want to be where a lot of, especially retail, want to be where the consumer is. And in fact, some, towns, this is more anecdotal, but towns that I've been in Westchester, Fairfield counties, Nassau County, are much busier Monday through Friday than they used to be, simply because there are more people that are going into the city less often. But then that creates this confusion because when you look at the city and you look at the sidewalks and people walking, there's definitely a lot of activity, but it's clearly not what it was compared to before the pandemic.
Yeah, but it looks like 80% or something on the sidewalk.
Correct. And actually, if I could just add that, if you look at Castle data, which is sort of security card swapping tracking, in New York City or Manhattan specifically, it's sort of stuck at about 50%. And it's not even 50% really, even though the numbers say that, because the benchmark is pre-pandemic. And so they're assuming pre-pandemic was 100% occupancy, which is obviously not true. So the numbers, even though they say 50, are more like 40 to 45 when you think about it.
Just one more before Neil asks some questions. Is there any idea from the data as to how much, if anything, a business, retail or office, saves, if anything, by moving to a new location in a suburb or another borough in the city? Is it often costing less or not?
I would say, having just gone through this, that the trouble with I think many businesses, I was saying earlier, trying to downsize because of less visits by employees to offices, and that varies across companies and industries. Some are more collaborative than other. They need more people together, et cetera. Or some just want more, requiring their employees. But there is cost savings in the rent itself. I mean, you're seeing discounts of 25 to 50%. The problem is, for many, is trying to find a new, less expensive space can be very problematic because many landlords are unable to drop their rent to, say, the current market level simply because of the debt service they have on the building, and they can't make their payments if they go too low. So it creates this sort of stalemate, as you would, between the market and what is realistic for the landlord.
Neil.
Jonathan, have you seen any cooling in the market that would suggest an opportunity for a business owner to come in and get something, market or below market value?
Absolutely. The idea that vacancy, there's higher vacancy in commercial office provides a terrific opportunity for people that were, for decades priced out of the city. It is, but it's not as easy as it sounds, simply because many landlords, as I said before, are sort of stuck where they can't go as low as maybe the market dictates in that particular location, simply because they can't service their debt. But it is a good move. There's a lot of opportunities for businesses in the suburbs to come into the city and sort of be close to where there's still a lot of workers here.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask specifically, was about the suburbs. I remember last time we spoke, we talked about Long Island being very expensive. Has that come down at all to where it may be reasonable?
I guess reasonable is in the eye of the beholder, but I think there's a fair argument to make that we're still, the economy is still very strong. If you look in the context of unemployment, we're in the mid threes. So in some sectors of the economy, it feels very weak, like real estate, because of much higher interest rates. So I would say there's probably a little bit of improvement, but nothing dramatic. I think the real change, or the real improvement in affordability, is coming from the city itself, which has been essentially punished post lockdown.
Right. Joe?
Some business improvement districts have started putting signs up directing pedestrians to businesses that have relocated to side streets, which I think is a great idea, depending on the neighborhood. Side streets cost less, right, Jonathan? I would assume.
Yes. Yeah, they have less sort of visibility to pedestrians and auto traffic. So yeah, certainly that's anything to ease the resistance to a location, I think is a sort of a no-brainer, and shows good faith by the improvement district to that it's fostering a pro-business environment.
Thank you, Jonathan Miller, real estate expert extraordinaire, and we'll check in again with you. Thank you, Jonathan, very much.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.